listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
All right, we have some technical issues here. Just give me 1 second. All right, that should fix them there. That should fix them. Sorry about that, guys. We are live. That's what happens when you're on live shows, man. That's what happens. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. And we have a great show for you today. And as always, if you want to call and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 8 o'clock tonight. We got the football games going on and everything like that, and we got the fights going on at 8 o'clock. So, Robert, is that on Fox Sports or Fox Sports 1, or is it on regular Fox?
No, that's on Fox Sports 1. The undercard begins at 6:30, and the main event card begins at 8 o'clock. That's why we're out of here at exactly 8.
Look at Robert, man.
No overtime today, folks.
All right. Today, we're going to talk about, it might be official, Triple G signs with DAZN and Eddie Hearn and leaves Tom Loeffler. We'll tell you all about it. There's been conflicting rumors going around, but we'll tell you what we have. And also, too, is Vladimir Klitschko coming back against Dillian White. We'll have the latest. But first, we get started with our special guest, Michael Montero. You can find him on YouTube on Montero Unboxing and catch his show, The Neutral Corner, where he breaks down all the fights and gives the latest news. Michael, it's great to have you on today.
Eric, thanks for having me on. What's up, Rob? What's up, Joe? How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing good.
Good. Now, let me tell you. Let me say the big fight that everyone's talking about this week.
You guys hear me okay? I'm.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm calling you from my basement. I'm drywalling a house right now, so I'm talking to you with a bunch of drywall dust in my eyes and my ears and everything. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. We appreciate you taking time out, man. All right, so the big fight,
hey, man, anytime to talk boxing.
Absolutely, man. The big fight this week, Pacquiao Broner. I tried to tell these guys that it's an easy win for Adrien Broner this week, but none of my co-hosts will listen to me. Michael, I want you to try and talk some sense into them and tell me how you see this fight going down. Tell them.
Eric, my brother, I know that you're from Ohio, the state of champions.
Title town,
and,
baby.
He's from Cincinnati, yep.
And Adrien Broner. There you go. But you named the train wreck of the week after Adrien Broner for a reason.
That's right.
And, I hate to say that this is going to be a paint-by-numbers kind of fight, but that's exactly what it's going to be. Look, Manny Pacquiao, in his prime, he had the best footwork, not only in boxing, but I would say pound for pound the best footwork in sports. And even though he's well past his prime right now, his footwork is still dynamic enough to give a guy like Adrien Broner problems. AB does not fight well backing up. He doesn't fight well with southpaws. He doesn't fight well with guys who throw punches from unconventional angles, which Pacquiao does. So all that being said, Pacquiao is not the dynamic whirlwind knockout puncher he once was. I think this is going to distance. I see Pacquiao winning 116, 112, 117, 111, is somewhere in that range, because there's a lot of future business down the line. You guys know what this whole PBC signing is going to lead to with Pacquiao. I don't even have to say it. So he doesn't want to possibly spoil that. He's not going to take any unnecessary risks. I see Pacquiao playing it safe and winning a comfortable decision. I'm sorry, Eric. Don't kill me, man. I'm sorry.
That's cold-blooded, Michael. Michael, that's cold. Listen, are you telling me that you honestly think that Pacquiao is, because I think what people expect is if they expect the Pacquiao from the De La Hoya fight. They see that Pacquiao in this Broner. This is a guy who lost to Jeff Horn. This is a guy who, got by in his last fight against another shot fighter. How is it that what am I missing here?
You're fighting a losing battle there, Eric.
Well, what you're missing is what you're missing, Eric, is put Adrien Broner in a ring with Jeff Horn in Brisbane, or put him in a ring with Lucas Matisse. I'm not so sure he comes out of those fights with W's. I'm sorry, please don't shoot the messenger, but Adrien Broner was never an elite level fighter. He was just below that, and I just think at this, he's cashing it in, phoning it in at this stage of his career. This is one of those fights that, look, I think PBC, and I don't want to get into a negative PBC rant here, I'm not going to do that, but if this fight was on regular Fox instead of pay-per-view, I think it could actually move the needle, because you saw the ratings Pacquiao did against Jeff Horn, of all people, on ESPN. Adrien Broner is actually a name who somewhat moves the needle in the boxing world in America. I think that, man, if this thing was on Fox, it'd make a lot of sense. On pay-per-view, I don't know. I think this is both guys cashing a check, staying busy. This is just boxing business 101.
I'm with you. I don't think this fight makes sense on pay-per-view at all. This is definitely like a Fox-type fight or a Showtime type fight. This is not. This fight does not belong on pay-per-view.
It would do a big rating on Fox. Look, man, look. If this was on Fox and they promoted it the right way, you've got NFL playoffs next weekend. The playoff games are only on Sunday. If you had this on Fox Saturday night and you promoted it the right way on Fox, and you said, "Hey, before you watch the football game Sunday, Saturday night, we've got Manny Pacquiao going up against Adrien Broner." Anybody who pays attention to TMZ, they know who Adrien Broner is. So I just think it could move the needle on Fox. And again, I think it's a missed opportunity. On pay-per-view, maybe it does 200,000 buys or so, and that's probably enough to pay these guys what they want. So it is what it is.
I can't believe we got to pay for this. I mean, you're right. This on Fox on Saturday night would do wonderful ratings. But, no, I totally agree with your opinion, Michael. Poor Eric is outvoted here 3-1. I mean, it's a lost cause. I think that Broner, with all the distractions going on in his life, I don't see how he could properly prepare for what he's going to deal with. I mean, he had 2 court hearings on Monday, for Christ's sakes. I mean, he's not named the train wreck of the week for nothing. I mean, the award belongs to him, and nobody will ever take it away.
Oh, that's possible. That's possible.
Yeah, I think that he's going to keep that award for life.
How do you see? Okay,
if there was a train wreck lifetime achievement award, I think Broner would have that.
That's right.
That's right. Well, you know what? It's going to make it that much sweeter when he wins Saturday. But let's say lightning strikes. All right, let's say lightning strikes and Pacquiao wins. I mean, let's say he pulls off the giant upset, defeats Titletown, and Pacquiao actually wins this fight. He finds a way somehow to win this fight. Do you think the Pac-Man and Mayweather fight could be next? I mean, please don't say yes.
I will not say yes. It will not happen this year, Eric. Okay. What they'll do, and to me, it's an even shittier answer. Pacquiao is probably going to fight somebody in a Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, somebody in that realm later this year. He'll fight twice this year. Sometime in the fall, he'll fight one of those guys, somebody at that level, a little higher than Adrien Broner, but one of the PBC guys, and I hate to say retreads, I don't want to say that, but one of those guys that they've kind of been matching against each other for a while. He'll fight somebody at that level, and I think it's very possible that we see a Pacquiao-Mayweather fight, a rematch, in 2020. Now, if the boxing gods smile upon us, I think the best thing that could happen if they do that fight, the first fight was absolute shit. The second fight might be a little better because both guys will be so far past their best. It might be like, Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard doing it when they're old, that kind of a thing. If they put that on Fox, that could really move the needle, but they're going to go back to pay-per-view, $100. Hey, it might be $120 this time. Oh, but there will be a million idiots that buy that shit.
For sure.
I will not be one of them if it's on pay-per-view. I can guarantee that. I got screwed over once. I'm not doing it twice.
I'll buy it.
Of course you will.
I'm a sucker.
I'm lucky. I get to see the fights for free, so
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Did you happen to see what are your thoughts? I mean, did you see the Mayweather tension fight? And what are your thoughts on Mayweather's skill? As I mean, he's not the same fighter he was. Does he still have it to beat any top 10 guy though?
No, I wouldn't rate Mayweather in the top 10, and I don't think he was the best welterweight in the world when he fought Pacquiao. But look, and I don't want to trigger the UFC fans right now and the MMA fans, but I think that the marketing of MMA to casual sports fans has them believing certain things about those fighters that I don't necessarily believe is true. And as long as their fans continue to be ignorant about boxers and the athleticism and the skill level of boxers, which I feel pound for pound is superior to that of kickboxers and wrestlers, and for the most part, guys like Floyd Mayweather will rake in the dough. And I'm not mad at Floyd one bit for taking that fight against a Japanese kid, making a quick, $9 million for what was a glorified sparring session. I don't think it was a fixed fight at all. I think that kid knew right away he was in with a bigger, stronger, more skilled guy who was toying with him and still dominating him, and he looked for a way out. I thought the first knockdown was legit. The second one, maybe the kid was looking for a way out, but I'm not mad at Floyd at all for taking that fight. And I think Floyd's going to continue to do that circus act. Why not? People are throwing money at him. They think that they can beat him. They have the fighters know they can't beat him, but these casual sports fans who are ignorant of just how great boxers, elite-level boxers are, maybe I'm biased here, but elite-level boxers are among the best athletes on planet Earth, period. And this has been proven for over a century now. It's nothing new. So for Floyd, he's going to cash in against the big show, Conor McGregor, Tension, or whatever the hell his name is. I don't even know what the kid's name is. He's going to continue to take those kind of fights and make money off of their ignorant fans, and I don't blame him one bit. He should keep doing it.
That's it. And then the rumor is he's trying to fight Khabib. I guess Khabib Nurmagomedov from the UFC, which that guy doesn't even box. I mean, that guy's like a wrestler.
And he could knock that guy out too.
Yeah. Oh God.
He would get in shape for that fighter, and he'd knock him out just like he did Conor. People, they're going to always find a new guy for Floyd to fight, and those guys in that world. Look, I understand they have different skills and different disciplines. You got to use your feet. You got to get to the ground. I understand that. Floyd is an absolute master on his feet with his hands, especially making guys miss. And somebody like Khabib, probably a little better than Conor McGregor, but he still is going to see the punches coming from last week, and he's going to dominate the kid. So if they want to throw, tens of millions of dollars at him to fight that kid, he's going to take it. I don't blame him. He'll actually get in shape for that fight because that guy's not a joke. The Japanese kid, a little overrated in my opinion, but I think that fight could happen. We might see that before we see a rematch with Pacquiao, and I don't blame Floyd one bit for taking that money. It's free money.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Let's see here. Okay, on the undercard of the Pacquiao-Broner fight is Rashid Warren versus Nordine Ubali. If I'm probably butchering that guy's name, but what are your thoughts on that fight? I haven't seen Ubali fight, but I've seen Rashid obviously plenty of times. He's from Titletown as well. What are your thoughts on that fight?
My thoughts with Warren is the same thing I've always thought with him. He fought hundreds of amateur fights. Very, very skilled. I know he's from Titletown, but just no power. And, when I first started on the beat in Los Angeles, I covered the Los Angeles Matadors. They were the World Series of Boxing fights. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of pro, kind of amateur, kind of in the middle somewhere. Yeah. And Rashid Warren was basically the captain of that team in L.A. He was the best, most experienced fighter on that team. And I saw right there how skilled he was. But in the pro game, you got to have power, man. You got to have power to back a guy off of you, especially a pressure-type fighter. I actually think that fight could steal the show and be the best fight on the card. Skill-wise, you want to lead towards Warren. But at some point, if this kid and I haven't seen much of the kid either that he's fighting. I haven't seen a lot on him, but the scouting report on him is that he's going to come right to Warren and bring pressure. And I just think, in the later rounds, maybe he can pull that out. It's all up to the Vegas judges, and your guess is as good as mine on that shit, because you never know how they're going to go.
Yeah, right. I kind of, I lean toward Warren, obviously, but, my big problem with Warren is my same problem with Broner, is that he does not seem to throw a lot of punches. And I don't know if that's a Stafford thing. I know they left Stafford, but I mean, when you're this involved, this advanced in your pro career, it's hard to unlearn that. It's hard to learn something new, and it's hard to learn a different style of fighting. And I think at this point they just are who they are. So I think that, Rasheem Warren, I don't know. Like I said, I know he had trouble with Zakhayanov, with the pressure that he got put on him. But if this guy comes toward him, I don't know. I don't know what kind of pressure fighter he is. I don't know too much about him. So it could definitely be interesting. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, when you have hundreds of amateur fights, and in the amateurs, you have to understand, you can catch a lot of shots. You can sell up, catch a lot of shots. You can move, use distance to avoid punches. Pot shot, land 2 or 3 good, clean, crisp punches that might not have a lot of power, but they're good, clear scoring blows that the judges see, and boom, you win the round. And you can win tournaments that way. You can go to the Olympics that way. So a lot of guys who have hundreds and hundreds of amateur fights bring that to the pros. The difference is when you're in there for 12 rounds against a pressure fighter who keeps on coming, eventually you got to sit down and put your ass into a punch and land something that backs him off. Can Warren do that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a big one. Let me get your thoughts on the fight tonight, and I'll go ahead and let you go here. Jose Uzcategui versus Caleb Plant. This is a big one. This is one of those boxer-puncher matchups. Who do you favor and why on this one?
This is another one where you talk about a guy who just doesn't punch very hard. He's slick. He has the skills, and I'm talking about Caleb Plant. And he's straight out of Central Casting, right? He's got the swag. He's got all the tattoos. He's got the hot girlfriend, all this stuff. And he boxes with a very, very slick style. But Uzcategui, I've heard it pronounced about 8 different ways. He's going to keep coming. And if you look at their resumes, Plant has fought absolutely nobody but pizza boys and cab drivers.
That's right.
Uzcategui, he's fought several good. Uzcategui has fought several good quality fighters. He's proven. So if you put a gun to my head and you wanted me to bet, I would bet on Uzcategui. He's the guy who's proven. He's going to keep coming forward. But if this thing is close and it goes to the cards, you got to think Caleb Plant is the guy with a little more upside, at least on paper, for the PBC guys and everybody involved. But then again, it's in Los Angeles. And Caleb Plant is from, I think, Nashville, Tennessee, fights out of Vegas. Uzcategui, I think, is originally from Venezuela, but now he fights out of Mexico. The crowd and everything is probably going to be behind Uzcategui. I can't pronounce the guy's name.
Just call him Jose.
So Jose, there you go. All right, Ringside Rob, the voice of reason. I love it.
Yeah.
I got to go with Jose. I think he's going to pull out a decision win here.
Very good, man. Very good. Well, we're going to have to get you some adjustments here on Titletown or whatever. We have to get you on the bandwagon, man. Send you a Cincinnati Reds hat or something like that. Get
no
you in
thanks.
The game. You can catch Michael Montero on Twitter at Montero.
Hey, man, your Bengals, man. You got to get your Bengals can't even win a playoff game. What's up with that, bro?
God, that's horrible.
You got to clean that shit up before we can even talk boxing.
That is such a
Hey,
mess
they got to
over
get a coach, let alone, they're a mess.
We just fired. Apparently, we're cleaning house over here. We got rid of our head coach. We got rid of our coordinators. I think there's a couple other coaches that are gone. So they're cleaning house, man. Hopefully that makes a difference.
Well, there you go. Hey, look, man, I'm originally from Detroit, so I grew up a Lions fan. We haven't even been to a freaking Super Bowl. So as bad as you guys have it in Cincinnati, it could always be worse.
Oh, man. The Lions break my heart every year because I used to live in Detroit. So, I root for the Lions. I root for the Tigers. and I root for the Cincinnati teams and stuff. But the Lions every year, man, it's like, gosh.
Yeah, the last time the Lions won a championship was 1957.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. It's horrible.
Man, my parents weren't even born yet.
Michael, where can we catch you online?
Online, YouTube. Please, check out my channel, Montero Unboxing. You can find me in the same place. You can find me on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Twitter, Facebook, all of them, Instagram. And then if you subscribe to Ring Magazine or Boxing Monthly Magazine, that's a UK fight mag, you'll see my articles in there. You'll see my articles on those sites. So, hey, just Google my name in boxing and you'll see stuff pop up. And I appreciate all the support I get, man. I love this sport. I love talking boxing. And, guys, I had a lot of fun on here today. I'm going to get back to my drywalling. But we got to do it again soon.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for coming aboard, man.
Have a good one.
All right. Thank you so much. Michael Montero, again, you can find him on Twitter at Montero Unboxing, and just go to YouTube and search Montero Unboxing there, and you can find all his shows, including the Neutral Corner and everything like that. So there you go. Very good, man. Like I said, I think he's going to warm up to Titletown after Saturday. I think he's going to warm up after Broner just dismantles Pacquiao and everything like that. He's going to warm up. I think, honestly, I think he's probably, I think he probably picked Broner, but you know how it is. He doesn't want to say it out loud or anything like that. I get him. We're on the same. I get you, Michael. I get you. All right. So let's talk about ShoBox on Showtime. Devin Haney versus. You have to help me out on this one here, man, because this one's a tough one. Zolani,
it's a South African name, Eric. So
Zolani Dojeni. Does that sound right?
That's as close as I could get.
That's as close as I'm going to be able to get, man. Robert, give it to me straight. Is Devin Haney a contender?
I believe he is. Now, I've never seen the South African kid fight before, but he did come in with a 25 win, no loss record with 13 knockouts. But we don't know anybody that was on his record. And the scorecards, to me, they're a little on the wide side because two of them had it 100-89, and one of them had it 99-90. But honestly, I thought the fight was a little bit more competitive than that. Maybe he won 2 or 3 rounds, but Haney did dominate. He did put him down in the second round. But this is the kind of fight that a kid like Devin Haney, who's only 20 years old, needed. He needed somebody to go rounds with him, show that he wasn't going to lay down. I like the way they're developing this kid. Now, the problem we're going to have here is he's ranked by 3 of the organizations. And apparently he is calling out Richard Comey because apparently Comey is going to be fighting for a vacant title here soon. And Haney says if Comey wins that fight, that's who he wants to fight next. So I don't know. I don't know if that would be the right path for him, but every time I've seen him on ShoBox, I've been impressed with what he's done, and I like the way he's being developed. I just don't want to see him rushed into a title shot right away. But the problem you have is, like I said, 3 of the organizations have got him ranked in the top 10, so he's probably going to get a title shot before I think he's ready, but he did look impressive.
Okay. Now, what about Ruben Villa versus Ruben Severa?
Villa won the fight. It was your typical 8-round fight, but it was clear who won. And I'd like to see Villa again, but I liked what I saw. This was his ShoBox debut. I need to see more. All
right. So not too impressed?
I need to see more, but he did what he needed to do. But again, only seeing the guy once, I'm going to reserve my opinion. I need to see him a few more times.
There you go. All right. Just in case anybody's wondering, the score at halftime is the Eagles 14, the Saints 10, and they are at the half right now.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about the upcoming schedule here, the upcoming fights. Let's see here. Tonight, Jose Uzcategui versus Caleb Plant. This is going to be on Fox Sports at 8 o'clock.
Fox Sports 1 at 8 o'clock. We're out of here right at 8, folks.
Robert, telling them like it is. Taking no prisoners here. All right. 12 rounds for Uzcategui. I don't know. Can't pronounce his name. IBF
just call him Jose, Eric. That'll be better.
On the undercard, Brandon Figueroa versus Moises Flores. 12 rounds. It's a WBA junior featherweight eliminator. And Guillermo Rigondeaux is on that undercard too versus Giovanni Delgado. I don't know that he's going to be featured in that Fox card. He may be on the undercard, so make sure you DVR it at 6:30. All right. Let's see here. January 18th. Robert, is that a Thursday?
Friday.
On ESPN Plus. Bryant Jennings versus Oscar Rivas, 12 rounds heavyweights. Shakur Stevenson versus Jesse Chris Rosales, 10 rounds featherweights. And Jason Sosa versus Moises Delgadillo, 8 rounds lightweights. All right, that's on ESPN Plus. Also on Friday, January 18th, from New York on DAZN. Demetrius Andrade versus Artur Akavov, 12 rounds for Andrades or Andrades, however you want to pronounce it this week. His WBO middleweight title will be on the line. Jorge Linares versus Pablo Cesar Cano, 12 rounds junior welterweights. And let's see, Amanda Serrano versus Eva Voraberger, 10 rounds for the vacant WBO women's junior bantamweight title. Chris Algieri also on that undercard versus Danny Gonzalez. Now, Amanda Serrano, Beeb, maybe you can help me out here. Why is it that she gets zero run at all? I mean, zero. This is like her 7th title or something like that. This is her 7th title, 7 different weight classes or something. It's ridiculous.
I hate to say it, and I don't want to sound like a jerk or a hater, but guess who her promoter is?
Who?
Lou DiBella.
You're such a hater.
And as much as I like and respect Lou DiBella, he's very inconsistent with, fighters. Like if he has a guy like Sergio Martinez, obviously that guy's going to get a lot of run. But Lou tends to focus on 1 or 2 fighters, and the rest of his stable kind of falls to the wayside a little bit. And Amanda Serrano definitely is promoted poorly. Because look at the resume she has. Arguably, she's the most decorated. She probably is the most decorated female fighter of all time.
Yeah.
And for her to get no run is a disgrace. It's horrible. So I just think that Lou DiBella really needs to push her more. And if he can't, then hopefully she could get some run at fighting on DAZN or something like that. I hate to say, but maybe a better fit for her could be Eddie Hearn, because there's a lot of female fighters over in the DAZN neck of the woods that Eddie Hearn can definitely capitalize on with the Amanda Serrano matchups. So I mean, you could see Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor down the line, but Lou just doesn't seem to really give this girl a lot of push, and I think that's the problem. I think she's promoted poorly.
I would agree with you. You're talking about, I mean, a girl from that kind of caliber who's got 7, 6, 7, whatever it is. I think she's going to tie Pacquiao with this title win here.
Yeah.
I mean, why aren't we talking about her? Cecilia Brækhus is another one. Why aren't we talking about her? They're not, and everybody says, why is MMA? Why are the women in MMA more popular than the boxers? Because they're promoted properly. They're on main cards.
Well, they headline too, and if you look at it,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, some of these females over in MMA, like that Amanda Nunes Chris Cyborg fight, that was the co-feature, but I'm sure that helped really add to the pay-per-view buys of that fight. Not that fight, but that whole card, you know?
Would you have paid for that fight? Cyborg
Absolutely. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Absolutely. No question about that. I would have totally paid for that fight. And that's just something I guess these guys aren't getting, man. They really aren't.
They're not.
They don't care because it hasn't been done in history, so they're just not willing to do it. I mean, listen, you got these girls. I mean, you're signing them up. You're promoting them. Do your job, man. If you promote them and you promote them correctly, we've seen it. It works, you know. I don't know. And you can't just give me like, well, boxing fans don't like women fights. That's not the case. Listen, they've proven there's a market for this. So, I don't know. All right, January 19th, Las Vegas on Showtime, pay-per-view. Robert, how much is this pay-per-view?
I don't know. Jason said it was $75. I have not been able to confirm or deny that all week. I really don't know how much this pay-per-view is going to be.
Yeah, I don't either, man. I don't either. It's probably going to be right around $75 or something like that.
It makes me look. This is a good card, because you got Marcus Brown and Badu Jack, and you got a few other good fights on there. But like Mike pointed out, this main event should be a main Fox card. It shouldn't be pay-per-view. This pay-per-view, because of that, is going to suffer a great deal. I would be shocked if it gets anywhere near 200,000 buys.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's going to be a tough one. Let's go over the card here, man. Las Vegas Showtime pay-per-view. Manny Pacquiao versus Adrien Broner. 12 rounds for Pacquiao's WBA regular welterweight title. Whatever that means. Badu Jack versus Marcus Brown. 12 rounds for the vacant WBA interim light heavyweight title. Nordine Wibali, I don't know how to say it. I don't know, Robert. I don't know how to say it. Versus Rasheed Warren, 12 rounds for the vacant WBC bantamweight title. Jack Tapora versus Hugo Ruiz, 12 rounds for Tapora's WBA interim featherweight title. And Robert, do you remember who my prospect of the year was?
No.
Yeah. Desmond Jarman versus Canton Miller, 6 rounds junior lightweights. That'll be on the undercard as well. Prospect of the year. You know where he's from, Robert? Desmond Jarman. Do you know where Desmond Jarman is from?
Another Cincinnati person.
That's right. How about that? How did I know that? That's crazy. That's amazing.
Eric, when you plug somebody, they're always from Ohio.
It's Title Town. What am I going to do? All right. So let's talk about this here for a little bit. We have the Pac Bronner preview. All right. So, Beeb, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you think that Pacquiao has a chance here? Do you actually think lightning is going to strike? Do you follow the line of thinking that Michael Montero does, that lightning is going to strike and that Pacquiao is going to pull this enormous upset?
Well, styles make fights. And if you look at history in Manny Pacquiao fights, the guys that have given Manny Pacquiao the most problems are the guys that are right-hand dominant, guys like Marquez, guys like Morales, guys like Mayweather. Guys who are left-hand dominant like Cotto, De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton. Pacquiao's dominated them. And Adrien Broner, his claim to fame is he loads up with that left hook. He likes to leap in with that left hook. And that's not the punch that's going to beat Manny Pacquiao. And also, you got to take that mid-range area away from Manny Pacquiao. So if you watched when Marquez fought Pacquiao, he was never in the mid-range. He was always either outside or inside. He would go in, and then he would come out. He would never get caught in that mid-range area of the pocket. And Morales had a very similar game plan as well. Guys who get stuck in that mid-range area, they get sliced to bits. And if you want to look at that Jeff Horn fight, you can. I thought that fight was a draw. I didn't think Pacquiao looked good. But Jeff Horn fought a very physical fight. He headbutted Manny Pacquiao early, put a huge gash over his head. There was a lot of physical gymnastics going on in that fight, if you will. Jeff Horn was doing a lot of questionable tactics, which are tactics that Adrien Broner is not going to do. He's not that physical. He's not that big, and he's not that physically strong. Now, if Jeff Horn fought Manny Pacquiao in a rematch, I think Manny Pacquiao would win the fight very, very easily. I just think that, Manny Pacquiao, got a touch of bad luck with the headbutt. I think he was getting frustrated because the ref wasn't taking points away. Regardless of all that, he still should have found a way to come out on top. But I did have the fight a draw, and most people had him winning that fight anyway. So Jeff Horn narrowly won that fight. And you could say that maybe the judges gave it to him because it was on his home turf. But regardless of the fact, when you look at the style of Adrien Broner and you look at the style of Manny Pacquiao, Adrien Broner's style is tailor-made for Manny Pacquiao. He's a guy who doesn't throw many punches. He's a guy that doesn't really have a huge right hand. He's more of a left hook guy. That's the punch that's his claim to fame, is that left hook. That's the punch that knocked Sean Porter down. That's the punch that does the most damage in most of his fights. And that's the punch that you see him throw the most. Doesn't have a jab. He's very inconsistent with it. Doesn't throw a lot of punches. And he tends to not really know how to gauge range very well. A lot of times he'll get stuck in that mid-range area of the pocket, and he'll try to pull back and lean away instead of bending at the waist and stepping around shots. He leans away from shots. And a guy like Manny Pacquiao, who has an ambush type style, if you lean away from him and your feet are forward and your shoulder and head's back, you're going to be off balance, and he's going to sneak a straight left right there, and he's going to score like a flash knockdown on you and stuff. So I think Adrien Broner, who tends to start slow, tends to give away rounds early, he's going to be in for a surprise when he tries to turn the gas on in the second half of the fight, and Manny Pacquiao has a great activity level still there for him. So I think that's going to be the problem. I think Adrien Broner's slow pace, the fact that he doesn't really have a huge right hand, and the fact that he'll get stuck in that mid-range area where Manny Pacquiao is most dangerous. I think those are the problems for him, and I don't think he has the foot speed or the hand speed of Manny Pacquiao. And as much as you could say that Manny Pacquiao is not what he once was, you have to understand Manny Pacquiao was so much above everyone else. Him and Floyd Mayweather were head and shoulders above everyone else. They were like 10 levels above. So if they decline a little bit, so they come down a few notches, they're still at a pretty high level. As I said, I think Manny Pacquiao has a good chance to beat any welterweight in the world that's not named Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. I think he could beat any of those other guys. I think he would beat Danny Garcia. I think he'd have a good chance to beat Sean Porter. I still think he's in the mix. And I think Adrien Broner, when he has tried to step up to that elite level, he's failed miserably. Just look at a common opponent they had, Jesse Vargas. I thought Jesse Vargas beat Adrien Broner. Manny Pacquiao knocked him down a few times, and he beat him handily. I think Jesse Vargas may have won 1 or 2 rounds against Manny Pacquiao. I know you don't like to play combat math, but, I mean, when you look at the styles of these two guys and how they match up, it's just, I just can't see a way that Adrien Broner can beat Manny Pacquiao. I just can't see it.
How dare you? How dare
it's impossible. I think it's going to be a one-sided fight, a very, very one-sided fight.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Beeb. I think you're wrong. Robert, go ahead and talk some sense into Beeb.
No, I'm not gonna do that, Eric, because I 100% agree with him. I think Manny Pacquiao, even at 40 years old, is going to teach Adrien Broner a very, very valuable lesson. You're not ready for this level, son. You may have won 4 different titles in 4 different weight classes, but you picked on weak champions to do it. You're not going to get title number 5 here because Manny Pacquiao is not shot. He's going to be competitive, and it's going to be a one-sided fight. I agree with Michael. I think it'll be 117, 111, 118, 110. It's not even going to be close. And Adrien, I don't know how much future he's got in boxing. I think the only thing we're going to be talking about in the future in regards to him is what he's going to be doing outside the ring, because after Saturday night, I don't know what kind of future he's going to have left inside the ring. I think he's going to lose and lose decisively.
Couldn't disagree with you guys more, man. Couldn't disagree with you guys more. I think Adrien Broner is younger. That's a fact. He's stronger. That's a fact. At this level, he's faster. He's faster than Pacquiao right now. This is a fact. Listen, man, he is the guy that's going to beat Pacquiao, and he's the guy that's going to send Pacquiao finally out to pasture. Everybody is like going nuts because Pacquiao knocked out Lucas Matisse. The announcer said, this is a direct quote, after the fight, Pacquiao is back. He looked like the old Pacquiao here. No, he didn't. The guy he was fighting, he hadn't looked good since the Postal fight. All right? So he's not, everybody, again, people think that we're going to see the same Pacquiao that beat De La Hoya all those years ago, or the same Pacquiao against Margarito or Mosley or Cotto or whatever. Man, he's been in some fights.
Eric, keep one thing in mind. Manny Pacquiao chooses his opponents very carefully, and he must see something that he can take advantage of with Adrien Broner. If he saw that Adrien Broner would be a problem, he would not have chose him for this fight.
He chose Jeff Horn and Mayweather, too.
So.
Right?
Well,
yeah, he
chose those fights,
yeah,
but
and he lost those fights.
Well, no, I don't think he lost the Horn fight.
Well, I don't say he did.
Well,
the thing is, like I said, man, I just think that Broner's going to be too young, and I think Broner is going to go forward in this fight. I don't see Broner going backwards. I think Broner may go forward in this fight, and that's going to cause trouble too.
You're just desperate to hang on to your title, which you're going to lose for the first time.
Well, I know I won't lose it to you. How about that?
No, it'll be Georgie's turn to see you get a pie.
Hey, Georgie, I don't know. I'm just saying. No, I really do. I think that Broner has an excellent chance in here. Even when this fight was made, I was always saying that Broner would win this fight. This is a good fight for Broner. This is a big fight for Broner. It's a good fight for Broner. Have you guys seen Broner, by the way? He's in shape. He looks really good. He looks good. He's not chubby. He's not going to come struggle to make weight. He looks really good.
Speaking of that, the weigh-in will be on Friday at 6:00 on Showtime, so be sure to tune in.
Yeah. So, like I said, man, I'm picking Broner. I'm picking Broner by unanimous decision or split decision. Bottom line is he's going to get the win. I think it may be a little bit closer because I think they may try to give Pacquiao some rounds. But I do see Broner winning this fight. Now,
okay.
Beeb, you've said, how do you see Pacquiao winning this fight? You think he knocks him out?
I think Pacquiao will have Broner in a corner, and I think that they may just throw in the towel or they may stop it. I think Pacquiao can stop Broner. I really do. Not knock him out, but I could see him really beating Broner up over the course of the fight, and then him taking a lot of damage, and then possibly him retiring on his stool, or the referee stopping it, or maybe the corner throwing in the towel. Because you mentioned Pacquiao not being what he once was, but does he have to be what he once was to beat a guy like Adrien Broner? Look at Adrien Broner's performances against Adrian Granados. Look at his performance against Jesse Vargas. Look at his performance against Paulie Malignaggi.
I thought that was a 9-4 fight. I thought that Malignaggi was a 116, 112 fight.
I had that fight one.
Most.
I had that fight. I had that fight 115 to 113. I thought he won that fight by the skin of his ass, and a lot of people agree with me. Look at the guys he's been in with, who are several levels below Manny Pacquiao, who he lost to, in my opinion. He lost that Jesse Vargas fight, and he was gifted a draw. That Granados fight could have gone either way. And who was the other guy he fought there? The other guy, that junior welterweight he fought. I forget his name. Emmanuel Taylor.
Emmanuel
Taylor. That fight was a razor close fight too, and then the knockdown pulled it out for him. So these are guys that are not even in the same stratosphere as Manny Pacquiao, and he's going life and death with these guys. Again, look what Manny Pacquiao did to Jesse Vargas, and then Adrien Broner lost to him, in my opinion, and was gifted a draw. What does Adrien Broner have that can be problematic to Manny Pacquiao? He's not a big right hand puncher.
He put Porter down. Nobody had put Porter down
with a left hook. A left hook is not an effective.
What I'm saying, my point is, he's got power.
But a left hook is not an effective punch against a southpaw, and it's not a punch that causes problems for Manny Pacquiao. Miguel Cotto, De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, all those guys, they didn't have right hands. They couldn't put up much of a fight against De La Hoya. Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao won those fights handily. And you have to look at the styles. Adrien Broner throws that lead left hook. He doesn't set it up properly. He's not a combination puncher. He's not a volume puncher. He's not good at gauging range. He doesn't know how to slip and bend at the waist. He leans back away from shots. Those are all recipes for disaster against a guy like Manny Pacquiao. Style-wise, this fight is tailor-made for Manny Pacquiao, and they know this. This is all to set up that fight with Floyd Mayweather. This is all to set that up with that rematch with Floyd Mayweather. That's already being worked on behind the scenes, I suspect, very strongly. So they know what they're doing here. Adrien Broner, my hat's off to him. He keeps getting the call for these big fights, and hopefully he could save some of this money he's making and stop buying all the jewelry that he's buying, whatever. That's neither here nor there.
He's got to pay lawyers,
But this is a great payday for him, and credit to him for always being in position to get these types of fights. And you could say what you want about the kid, but for whatever reason, he puts asses in seats. So that's why we have this fight. So I just don't see him coming close to getting a victory on Saturday night, man. I just don't see it.
Well, that's disappointing, Beeb. That's very disappointing, I'll tell you that. I think he Marquezes him. That's what I think. I think Pacquiao gets Marquezed on Saturday. And I'm sticking with that. Sticking with it. That's the route I'm going. All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Beeb, where do the best callers come from?
Ohio.
614. You're live.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
What's happening?
What's happening, brother?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Love the show. Love the show. Man, y'all talking about the Pacquiao and Broner, man. So that's the big point coming up. So I'm going to jump into it, I guess. I agree with what Beeb was saying. To an extent, I think Broner's style, and he was mentioning a couple fights too. I hear a lot of people talk about Broner having been the same since the Madonna fight, Marco's Madonna fight, and I disagree. Broner has always been that way. Broner, from fighting De Leon, most of his knockouts and his impressive wins came in the lower weight classes when he was at 135. And he had that same similar style that he got now in the higher weight classes where he would throw pop shots here, and most of the times he's landing these shots because the guys are on a defensive mode. These guys is not matching hand speed with Broner, so therefore they're in a defense mode where it's shelling up, and Broner is able to get off hard power shots in those weight classes at 135. So he always had this same output. He only throw combinations when the opponents are in the defensive, when they're shelling up because they can't match his speed. I've seen it. I mean, you can go on and on watching his fights. I like Broner. I'm an Ohio guy. So when it comes to Manny Pacquiao, one thing I know for sure is not going to happen is Manny getting a stoppage, and is Manny KOing Broner. That's not going to happen for this exact one of these reasons. Broner shows up. He's known for not letting his hands go. So it's impossible for you to try to convince me that Manny is going to KO a guy who don't let his hands go as much. The fight is going to look similar, like Joshua Clottey versus Manny Pacquiao. Joshua Clottey was hitting Manny with the more accurate and solid punches, but it was Manny who had more activity. And even when you go back to watch those highlights, I put this on my wall, you heard the biased commentary saying, bang, bang, and Manny's not even landing shots against Clottey. He's hitting his elbow, his waist, and Clottey got this defense because he's not opening up his shots to let him go or take more risks. He's not even hitting them. So it made it frustrating, but yet Clottey was losing rounds. I can see Manny doing that. I can see Manny throwing off a busy activity, but he's not hitting Broner the way he wants to. Therefore, Manny would get frustrated like he did against Joshua Clottey, where he throws, remember that 2 shot he threw where it was illegal, when he tried to throw 2 punches on the outside of his guard? Mm-hmm. Where he just threw both punches around and hit him, and the referee was like, no, don't do that, you can't do that. Manny was getting frustrated because he was not fighting Manny back. Manny got hit with a counter against Marquez, which lines up for Broner. Broner is a counter puncher, but at the same time, Broner don't let his hands go. So that's why I say about the style. I don't even see Manny, I don't see Broner actually winning this fight. I see Manny winning it, but I'm rooting for Broner. It's a difference. I just don't see Broner being able to have an output or his work rate outdoing a 40-year-old Manny, because Broner has never showed us. And no matter how many fights I've seen Broner, I think when I seen the Vargas fight, it just showed me that this guy just do not take risks and don't go for it. Round 12, Kevin Cunningham tells Broner, man, go out there to get this knockout. Get this knockout. Go out there and get this knockout. He's telling Broner this. Broner was coming to him a couple rounds, asking him, I won that round, right? He was really trying his best. And when the 12th round came, Broner barely threw about 12 punches. In a deciding fight, you only throw 12 punches. That right there let me know Broner just didn't have it when it came to just wanting it, wanting the victory, wanting to get it. He never, I was surprised. You go back and watch that 12th round with Vargas, because I actually had Vargas winning 7-5. And I wasn't upset with a draw either, but that fight was a fight where Broner came on strong at the end. But at the same time, Broner depends on his power and counter-punching ability. You know, and I think what's going to happen, he can actually catch Manny with one of his hard shots, and hopefully it hurt Manny. And I think that's what he's dependent on. He's dependent on throwing a counter shelled up like Joshua Clottey, because he's going to try to figure Manny's speed and what Manny's doing, bouncing. So expect Broner to try to walk him down, his guards up, and I also see people over-exaggerating with the punch rate that Manny's going to be throwing, because Manny's going to throw way more than Broner. It don't take a rocket scientist to know this. But unless we're going to see if those punches is going to be landing, because Broner does a good job at times of covering up because he's not taking that many risks. So that's why I can't see people telling me, man, he's going to KO him. How he's going to KO a guy who don't take that many risks? Broner is going to get in and start hitting him in the body and trying to hit him with power shots, and hopefully Manny doesn't. Hopefully Manny, get hurt. That's what he's basing on. And part of with Manny Pacquiao, Manny, he doesn't let his hands go like he used to either. He doesn't have that kill factor. That's another reason why I don't see him stopping Broner or actually, KOing him. He doesn't have that knockout. When Manny was fighting Mayweather in the 4th round, when he hurt him a little bit, he goes on a fury. He goes and he puts Mayweather on the rope, and he goes to hit him, and he backs up. Manny was never known for just backing up. But that knockout for Marquez, not only he respected Mayweather, but he was thinking about that counterpunch. He gets hurt. He hurts Jeff Horn in the 9th round. Hurt him. To the referee said, if you don't show me something, I'm calling it. Jeff Horn, in my opinion, won the 10th, 11th, and 12th. He came back and won. Manny didn't even have enough gunpowder or firepower to finish the guy. He's not finishing guys. Out of 14 fights, he only finished one guy, and that was Lucas Matisse. Knocked down Algieri. He knocked down, he beat Brandon Rios. But all the younger fighters have finished these guys. Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford, finished Jeff Horn. I mean, we can go on and on about the comparisons, what these younger fighters are doing than what Manny's doing. I believe Manny has aged up. He don't have that killer instinct no more. And that counterpunch did that. I don't think he's going to respect Broner's counter ability as well. So I don't see him really just throwing punches, only when he sees Broner shelling up on defense. And it might be vice versa, but that's just my opinion on it. I do have Manny winning based on activity, and it's gonna be one of those fights, in my opinion, where it's gonna be like a Sean Porter versus Danny Garcia. You go with the guy who's getting the most effective punches, or you go with the guy who's the busier fighter. Paul Malignaggi versus Broner. I mean, we can go on and on. I think that's the type of style that this fight is playing out to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, if it pulls that way. So that's just my opinion on that.
Very good, man. Very good. So you're picking Pacquiao. So you're picking Pacquiao. You don't think he knocks him out, but you think he wins a clear decision?
You said what?
Do you think Pacquiao wins a pretty clear decision? Do you think it's disputed at all?
Yeah, I think he wins. I think he wins by, man, I wouldn't be surprised if it's unanimous.
Wow.
I would not be surprised if it's unanimous, but I only say that just because I just don't see Broner taking that. I mean, Broner is even going into this fight making me question him. You know what Broner is mostly saying leading up to this fight? I'm about to make the most money. When I make this money, man, listen, I ain't going to be around these people. I'm like, really? And then he'll go into, but I'm beat Manny. No, you're mentioning money first. That's my concern. You're talking about the most money you have ever made. That's my concern. Like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Manny picked you because you was a cherry.
But isn't that like Broner though?
That. I'm like,
isn't that just Broner though?
Yeah,
kind of his persona, right?
Him getting this, he ain't never got this much money that he's about to get. First pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean, he's happy. He's like, I'm about to change. Like, dude, you have to win. You have to win. And I think, like I said, Cunningham, Matthew Stanford is in his corner. I hope they can get it out of him where I think he's going to, like I said, he's going to try to walk him down. So, like I said, I'm rooting for Broner.
Yeah.
But, man, he has to take a little bit more risk, man. But I don't think Manny is KOing him. I don't think Manny is destroying him. Because I just don't see that. I don't see that. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a real interesting fight.
Yeah, if Mikey Garcia couldn't put him away, I don't see Pacquiao doing it. You know?
Right. Mikey was hitting him and, having this way. But Mikey didn't hit him like he wanted to. He hit him flash at times, but Mikey didn't hit Broner like he really, like he tried to knock him out type, because Broner wasn't putting himself in that way. We're taking those type of risks for Mikey to even capitalize on that.
Right.
And he actually hit Mikey with some hard punches. He hit Mikey, too, with some hard punches, body, and he went up top. But he put himself in firing range. He put his high guard up, and he gets in firing range. Broner really doesn't box that way. He doesn't move his feet. I mean, we can look at all his fights. He should never be in a fight, and no disrespect, he should never, ever be in a fight with Ashley Therapane. It shouldn't even been that close of a freaking fight where he stops it, he comes on the stone, but the fight was still like 3 rounds apiece. Like 3-9, 7, it was like close. It was a close fight. I remember it, but I don't remember every round. But I was like, man, like, he doesn't separate himself from the competition or the guys he's supposed to be dominating at times.
Right.
So,
and that's just what I've seen.
So what do you think? He's going to go into survival mode, and he's going to shell up in this fight?
Yes, I think he does. I think he's going to realize he's fighting Manny Pacquiao starstruck at times, but I think he's going to try to tie Manny off like catching like Mitch, catching him. He's going to try to fill him and then throw the shots. Try to fill him and then throw the shots. So that's what I believe is going to happen. I believe he's going to try to catch Manny. Manny's going to throw more punches. Manny's going to take more risks. I think he's going to catch him off that type of thing.
I think Pacquiao wins at least. I think Pacquiao wins at least 9 rounds of the 12. I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close.
And remember, guys, Pacquiao has always fought in Vegas. I think the only time Adrien Broner ever fought in Las Vegas is when he fought Sean Porter.
That doesn't.
I don't think that matters too much.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Pacquiao's from Vegas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, but
that's not a huge deal.
You know.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, and they both had big fights. Obviously, Pacquiao's had bigger fights. Ohio, let me ask you. Rashid Warren is on that undercard. How do you see him doing against Wibali or Obali? Nordine Obali? It's the guy he lost to in the amateurs, I think?
I forgot his name. Yes, this is the guy he lost to in the amateurs. I always like these type of fights because I actually going back and forth online with a couple of the guys that root for Rashid Warren is fighting. So they actually, he beat him in the amateurs, he's going to beat him here. When it comes to Ohio fighters, and you know me, I love my Ohio guys, we have dealt with this before. I remember when Kelly Pavlik was fighting Jermaine Taylor and RP to Emmanuel Stewart. Emmanuel Stewart was preaching on this. He beat Kelly in the amateurs. He dogged him, and you know Kelly was young. And that was one of the things they was using going into that fight, if y'all remember. I see this as different. I think Rashid Warren, he's a great opponent. I think this is a great fight. I can't wait to see this one out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Rashid doesn't really carry that much power, you know, but he's great combinations, speed. I see him winning on points. You know, I see him winning on points, but he's going to go after it. So I'm definitely, rooting for Rashid and actually I'm edging him. But who he's fighting is no pushover. You know, it's definitely no pushover. This is a real good fight. So I'm actually excited for that one more than anything.
Yeah, that's.
So I'm definitely excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And also too,
did y'all guys hear the news about the possibility?
What was it?
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, did y'all hear the rumor that's out with the Ortiz and Usyk?
Yeah, I did. I heard that, but nothing's been confirmed just yet. Where did I know it's making the rounds on Twitter and the internet and stuff like that, but nothing I've seen has been confirmed yet.
You gotta if it's true, man, I respect Usyk. I already did, but man, it's like take on Ortiz.
Yeah, that's a big
real deal.
That's a big step up, man. If I was handlers, I probably would have leaned toward Povetkin. I still actually think that may be the fight that happens, but there's a lot of talk that Ortiz could be next, man. Could be next. So, yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's a real tough one for him.
Well, that's my call, guys, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. And find you on Ohio Runs Boxing on Facebook, man. Thank you so much for calling. Beeb, like I said, that was a good call, man. The best callers always come from Ohio, right?
I love him. I love him, but he was trying hard to politic for Adrien Broner, man. You could hear like the cheerleading in his voice, man.
Hey, Beeb, in this case, it can't be done.
He's sitting there saying, I don't know why people are saying this, I don't know why people are saying that, but you know what? I still think Pacquiao's going to win, but he's trying to make it sound like, trying to give props to Adrien Broner any way he could, but it's just like he was just basically shooting himself in the foot because he's sitting there saying that. I asked him, I said, so Adrien Broner's basically going to go into survival mode, and he goes, yeah. So you can't win the fight if you go into survival mode. It's not going to be close if you go into survival mode. That means. He said, I don't think Pacquiao is going to kill him. Okay, but if you're forcing a fighter to go into survival mode, then you're in a pretty a pretty poor situation, if you ask me. And you're probably on the receiving end of a beating if you're going into survival mode, correct? So it's just funny listening to that call, man. I mean, I love the guy. Don't get me wrong, but this is why when you try to break down a fight, you got to take the emotion out of it and just use the common sense.
I think that he was trying to give Pacquiao the benefit of the doubt. He knows. I mean, he knows just like I do that Pacquiao getting demolished. He knows he's getting demolished on Saturday. It's all over but the crying. And you know what?
Nah, man.
I respect what he did.
Nah, man. Stop that.
All right. Let's go to our news and rumors here. This is a big one, man. This is a very big one here. All right. So Triple G signs with DAZN and Matchroom. It's been confirmed by Steve Kim and ESPN that Triple G has signed with DAZN and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Triple G and Canelo 3 looks like it will now take place on May 3rd. Triple G leaves Tom Loeffler for Eddie Hearn, and he's been with Loeffler really for most of his career, man. Now, there is some disputing this here because, let's see here. Michael Benson on Twitter at about 4:45 today writes the following. Tom Loeffler has today insisted that Gennady Golovkin is still a U.S. broadcaster free agent and hasn't signed with anyone yet. When Gennady decides what he wants to do, he'll make the official announcement. Now, as I read that, he said he insisted he's still a U.S. broadcaster free agent, which doesn't necessarily mean he did not sign with Matchroom. Is it, Beeb? Am I correct in saying that, or am I out of turn here?
I don't believe he signed with Matchroom.
Well, that's what Steve Kim, and I can read you Steve Kim's tweet right here. It says, confirmed, Gennady Golovkin has signed with DAZN USA and Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. Great move. Triple G leaves Tom Loeffler 1 after a lengthy time. Canelo Triple G 3 has been given the green light for May 3rd, as reported by @ESPN. Listen, man, Steve Kim works for ESPN as well as Dan Raphael and all those other guys.
Yeah.
This is that's a huge one, you know.
So he's saying he left Tom Loeffler.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to argue with him.
Really close to Tom Loeffler in the sense that he's on the show all the time and everything like that. You know, and if you remember last week, Dan Raphael and Tom Loeffler got into a Twitter fight last week about this, and it looks like Dan may be right. I don't know. I mean, that's the way it's looking.
Yeah, that's the bizarre thing about it because, Dan was just going back and forth with Tom, and Tom was like basically denying it.
Right.
So that's why I find it kind of caught me off guard when you told me that because.
Unfortunately, guys, it looks like Tom may be the last to know here.
I mean, it could be. I mean, listen. I mean, we've been hearing this for a while now. I mean, we've been hearing like little rumblings of this for a while that. He was going to DAZN. I know PBC. I read somewhere that PBC had made a play for him. But again, it was on Twitter, so we don't report, stuff like that. But when it comes from a source, it's concrete. ESPN, Steve Kim and ESPN also. It's tough to say, hey,
Look, we have all the respect in the world for Tom Loeffler. Whenever we've called, whenever we've asked him to be on the show, he has. But I mean, it looks like from everything you're reading here, Tom may be the last to know. And let's look at it this way: if you're Gennady Golovkin, you're gonna want to go where Canelo is because you want that third fight. And it looks like most of the middleweight division is honestly going to be at DAZN. So if you're going to continue to fight in the middleweight division, it looks like DAZN is the best place for you to be. So if Eddie Hearn can give you the fights that you want, well, and then it looks like that's where he is. And I honestly feel bad for Tom that, that this has happened. But look, I think Triple G had to do what he thought was best for his career. We'll see if it works out for him.
Yeah, I don't know. Beeb, is this a good move for Triple G?
Yes, definitely a good move because of the opponents that are going to be on the zone for him. Definitely a good move. I could see him fighting, Callum Smith at super middleweight. That's a fight that can be done. I think. Robbie, wait, Robbie, Jesus Christ.
Okay, all right.
Talked right over me there for crying out loud.
Sorry.
Jesus. So, I think that, he could fight Jacobs. He could fight Andre. I think he could fight Canelo. I mean, it's just, unfortunately, if he goes to BBC, who can he fight over there? The Charlos?
Well, and who's he going to fight for a title over there?
Yeah, I mean,
really.
That's what I mean. That there's one guy over there that he could fight, like Charlo, Uzcategui,
yeah,
Caliplant,
That's the thing. I mean, he's got nobody over there. I mean, and everybody, and Jacobs really. I mean, I was thinking about this. Is Jacobs really in the best spot? Because he's signed with Eddie Hearn, and he's also signed with Al Heyman. Al Heyman's his manager, Hearn is his promoter. I mean, really, it seems like he can go to either platform and kind of milk that for a while. I don't know if that's the case, but it would seem like that to me.
But all the money fights would be at the zone, if you think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
And all the fights that mean anything would be at the zone. And you know what? With all due respect to Jamal Charlo, a lot of people think he lost the last fight, and I don't think that style-wise that he matches up great against Golovkin. I would favor Golovkin in that fight.
After seeing Charlo's last fight, yeah, I would too.
Yeah,
I would. I mean, I thought, like I said, man, I thought Korobov beat him. I thought Harrison lost, and I thought Korobov won. Over the other two Charlos. But yeah, I mean, that's just my feeling on it. And I think that, I think it's a good move. I really do. I think it's a good move for Triple G, even if he doesn't want Canelo, even if he doesn't want to fight Canelo again, because they asked him, I guess the rumor I was hearing is that he was like lukewarm on the fight. This was like this was like about a month or so ago, that, he was kind of over the Canelo thing. He was over it, now that the fight is, a possibility again, is he still over it? Is he still over making all that money? I don't know. But he's got more options. To me, he's got more options at DAZN and Matchroom than he does at PBC.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to finish your career with that Golovkin, trilogy. You're going to want that. That's going to be the cherry on top at the end of the day. And you can't get that. You can't get that if you're a PBC fighter.
No, he won't even come close. Yeah, he won't come close. If that's the fight he truly wants, yeah, he's not coming close to that fight if he's at PBC. If he's at PBC, he's got a bunch of other guys to fight. None of them are going to have the title. None of them are going to have, you know what I mean? Everything, all the money is on the other side of the street in this case, And that's a big division, and that's where Canelo is. And honestly, you have to go where the biggest guy is. If you're in his division, that's Canelo, man. He's the money man now. There's nobody that comes close to him. Nobody comes close to him when it comes to pay-per-views, when it comes to, and not that, DAZN's not a pay-per-view entity, but as far as big fights, bringing in the money, you're going to make more money fighting Canelo than you will anyone else. No question.
Without question.
No, I've always said that the next fight I want to see Triple G fight would be a Jacobs rematch. I thought Danny deserves a rematch, but it looks like that Triple G may fight Canelo for the third time. But I hope before Triple G retires that he does give Jacobs another fight. I've always been in Danny's corner. I thought he did well enough to deserve a rematch, and he's done well enough since then. I firmly believe that he deserves another shot at Triple G.
Yeah, I do. I would think, if I were Jacobs, though, I think Jacobs deserves a shot at Canelo.
I agree.
Pick. That would be my pick. If for Jacobs next, he should fight Canelo next. Now, whether that's going to happen or not, I mean, that's probably not going to happen, but who knows? But I think if we're talking about Danny Jacobs and what he deserves, I think he deserves the brass ring. And right now, that's Canelo.
I totally agree.
Money guy. Again, this was reported by Steve Kim and ESPN that it is a done deal that Triple G signs with DAZN and Matchroom. So there you go. Tomorrow we might get more different reports, but that's what we're getting tonight. So
yeah. I'm shocked. I'm shocked he left Tom Lawler.
Well, you know, I am too, to an extent. But the fact that, you know, like I said, man, Dan Raphael, I mean, you know, he reports, you know, again, he's the ESPN. When they report stuff and you're hearing it from multiple sources, that's, you know, there's something there. You know, there always is. You know, when you hear rumors from multiple sources, there's always something to them. I mean,
I gotcha.
Whether it unfolds like that or not, there's always something to them. And before they actually go officially, you know, I mean, there always seems to be something to them. And so, you know, but, you know, you got to feel bad for Loeffler, though, because, you know, listen, man, if Triple G did go to DAZN, Loeffler could have took all his fighters and went to DAZN too, and he's got that 360 promotions and everything like that. So if he's out in the cold, if he's truly out in the cold, which is what this says, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
Well, I agree with you 110%. Like he still could have had a good deal with DAZN and still had, you know, Tom Loeffler at the helm. Why? Now, what I'm curious to know is, did Eddie Hearn kind of say that, you know, if you want to sign with the DAZN, you have to sign with me? I'm just curious to see, like, how that whole thing went down, because I would think Tom Loeffler could still be part of the package and he could still be with the DAZN at the same time.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's just kind of the confusing thing to me.
You know, look, though, but again, if you go through, it makes sense, you know, from a business standpoint. I think it makes more sense to have Eddie Hearn because, again, he's affiliated with DAZN. He's right there, and he can make the matches real quick. I mean, like you said, we were talking about Callum Smith earlier at 168. He can make that match tomorrow. You know what I mean? He can make those matches pretty quick, and you're in the same corner with the guy who has all the fighters too. It just, to me, it makes sense. You know, I don't like to see Tom Loeffler. Like I said, man, I mean, I don't like to see him left out in the cold if that's truly the case. But yeah, I mean, he's got, like I said, USC Trojan Zone in the chat is saying that he's promoting a local show there in LA. Yeah, he's got that 360. I believe that's the 360 promotion show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but he also had those featherweights. He had, but I don't think he had like Chocolatito and stuff like that. He just promoted those shows. I don't think those were his fighters. I don't think those were ever his fighters. I think he was just promoting those shows. But again, I could be wrong. I could be speaking out of turn. I don't know.
Where did Steve Kim release that? On the ESPN website?
No, it was on his Twitter feed. It was on his Twitter feed, and he referenced at ESPN as well. Let me read you the tweet again. 19 hours ago from Steve Kim. This is actually a little bit longer because I screenshotted this before we came on. Confirmed, Gennady Golovkin has signed with DAZN USA and Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. Great move, Triple G. Great move. Triple G leaves Tom Loeffler after a lengthy time. Canelo Triple G3 has been given the green light for May 3rd, as reported by at ESPN. So, yeah, I mean, and, you know, Steve Kim's pretty reputable. I mean, even before he was with ESPN, he was pretty reputable, excuse me. So, yeah, man, that's big news. Surprising news to an extent, but, yeah. So,
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I do feel bad for Tom. I really do.
Well,
nice guy.
I mean, he's not going to, be homeless or on Skid Row in L.A. anytime soon.
No.
No. I can't feel that bad for him. I mean, he's a friend of the show. He'll find his footing.
But when you lose your biggest pillar, that does hurt your promotional company. So
yeah. Well, I mean, didn't he promote? He promoted Klitschko. He promoted. I mean, he's had some big guys. You know? I mean, I would say that. Yeah.
Preliminary. It says here on SB Nation that preliminary talks for Golovkin and Canelo are already underway.
Yeah. Yeah. So, And De La Hoya tweeted out something the other day saying, let me see if I can find that. That was something about I've given my my chief of staff or his president, Eric Gomez, he given him marching orders to go get Triple G, go get the fight with Triple G. Let me see if I can find this here. I'll give you the exact quote here. Yeah, I've given marching orders to my president to start talks with Triple G Boxing for Triple G Canelo 3.
I guess ESPN, he did an interview at ESPN 97.5 in Houston, and he confirmed it on the air. So
yeah, that's it. That's it then. That's a wrap, man. If he confirms it, that's pretty much it. So there you go. I think there's going to be more details leaking out of here soon. So just stay tuned to us, and we might have a show on this soon. So we'll see, depending on what leaks out. No, Beeb?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's move ahead here. We got a lot of news. You know what I noticed, Beeb, is that we have a lot of news this week, but we have a lot of rumors going around this week. Did you notice that?
That's just it. Basically, we have to just say what is news and what is rumors, because some people out there want to say that rumors are actual news. They'll be like breaking this, breaking that, and we have a friend that tends to call in a lot, and instead of prefacing his comments with "I heard a rumor,"
right,
basically tries to state it as fact.
It's fact, right.
Absolutely, he does. Yep.
We don't know who that guy is, but
Well, he calls from the 706. So
USC Trojans own said he went back into Steve Kim's Twitter and that GG News disappeared. So
well, if you look on, I thought so too, but I found it again. I found it. Where did I find that at? I did a search on.
You should post it on the.
I did. I retweeted it.
Oh, you retweeted it?
Yeah,
okay.
If you go to Ringside Report at Ringside 73 on Twitter, you can you'll see it. Yeah, and it's pinned. It's a pinned tweet. You'll see it. It's not disappeared. Pinned tweet. So if you go to Steve Kim's,
I'm gonna retweet it too.
Yeah, if you go to Steve Kim's timeline, it's right there.
Even Michael Montero didn't know about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's busy with his house and everything like that, man. He's got a big house now. He's fixing it up, and I tell you what, I know what that's like. Well, actually, I know what it's like to supervise a job like that. I don't know.
Did you do a lot of work to your house yourself, Eric, or did you have people do it for you?
Well, I mean, of course I did the lion's share. I can't lie.
He delegated authority.
I did the lion's share of delegation, of course. No, my father-in-law came in and did an amazing job. We built a room downstairs. In our basement, we built a room, and he did an amazing job. And hopefully, he's going to come back here in a few weeks or whatever, a few months, and then refinish the rest of the basement. But he does just fantastic work. So yeah, I didn't have to get my hands dirty once. So that's the way I roll. All right.
That's awesome. That's good.
Montero, on the other hand, a guy you could respect. I mean, he's actually in there doing drywall and getting his hands dirty in his own house and everything. So, yeah, man, he's. I tell you what, I could never just watching my father-in-law do the stuff down here and work on the house and everything like that. There's no, I am so inept and not skilled to do that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm like all thumbs. There's no way I could have done that, even come close. They would have came in and condemned it. It's just ridiculous. All right, let's go ahead and move ahead here. This is one we talked about early on in the week. Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan. The fight will be announced on Tuesday of this week. Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan is set to be announced on Tuesday in London. The fight is expected to take place on April 20th in New York or Las Vegas. It's also expected that the fight will be on pay-per-view. This is another one, and Michael Montero referred to it earlier with the Adrien Broner Pacquiao. He thought it would be better on Fox or something like that, and I completely agree with him. That's not a pay-per-view caliber fight. To me, this is the same way. This is not a pay-per-view caliber fight. Beeb, what are your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. I think that we already discussed this. I just don't think that Khan is the right guy for that. To be on pay-per-view against in America. That's just my opinion.
Robert, what are your thoughts on this?
I can't believe that they're going down this road. Amir Khan is not known well enough in this country for pay-per-view. Yes, he's a good fighter. He's been in big fights. He's fought against Canelo. Terrence Crawford, the only time he ever fought on pay-per-view, he tanked. I mean, he won the fight, but the pay-per-view itself tanked. What did it do? Maybe 100,000, 50,000, 75,000
I
against
think it
Victor?
did like around 40,000. I'm not 100% on that, but I know it didn't reach the 100,000. I don't even know that they actually released those numbers.
Yeah, I mean,
very low.
Look, this is a much better ESPN caliber type fight, and what amazes me about this is going to be a top rank ESPN pay-per-view special. As far as I know, and I could be corrected if I'm wrong, which a lot of people love to do, but I don't think I ever remember ESPN doing any kind of pay-per-view events as far as boxing is concerned. I just don't see the logic behind this. It'll be a decent fight. It'll be a competitive fight. Terrence Crawford can add another big name to his belt, but I think this is only going to be competitive for a few rounds. I think Crawford will win this fight rather easily. I think Khan will get off to a decent start, but again, you're asking the boxing public to pay for a fight that is not pay-per-view worthy. I mean, come on, let's look at this. Both of the Canelo Triple G fights were pay-per-view worthy. The Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight, that was pay-per-view worthy. Maybe the Errol Spence Mikey Garcia fight is pay-per-view worthy, although I've got my questions about that too. When you pull out the pay-per-view card, you've got to make it worthwhile for people to buy. I view pay-per-view events like I view the Super Bowl in football. If you're going to put it on that kind of stage, you have to make it a worthwhile event, and both of the fighters have to earn that privilege to be there. And I think the pay-per-view industry has gotten off to a bad start here in 2019. With Pacquiao, Broner, Garcia, Spence, and now Crawford, Khan. I just don't see any of these really being worth the pay-per-view price. Am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, because I don't think this is a pay-per-view fight at all. But I will submit this. I think that, last time we had Top Rank, and you had Crawford and Postol. That was the last time he was on pay-per-view. Tanked completely because nobody really knew who either one of those fighters were. This time you have ESPN backing this fight, and it will be a co-promotion between ESPN and Top Rank. ESPN is a big-time entity, man. They know how to market things. And as good a job as they did on the Pacquiao-Horn fight. You remember when Pacquiao-Horn was on ESPN? And
yeah.
It was on the bottom of the screen. They were doing ads for it all the time. I mean, you couldn't do anything without seeing this. And they've got, just kind of like PBC does now with Fox. I think that this fight is going to be successful because of that. I think it's going to be successful because of that ESPN machine, that big promotional machine right behind it. How successful, I don't know. I will tell you this. I do think completely obliterates the numbers that were with Crawford Postal last time. I think this is a completely different animal. Does it do 200,000? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Over, under, I don't know. This is going to be pretty close. B, what are your thoughts? Do you think it does that much? Do you think it does over 200,000?
Probably not. I would say maybe slightly above 200,000. I wouldn't. I'm not too optimistic about it. I just don't see it doing very well. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I got a question, Beeb. You're good at doing these pay-per-view numbers. We're all in agreement that Saturday night's pay-per-view is not going to do well. It'll be lucky if it reaches 200,000. We're talking about this one in April, not making maybe slightly going over 200,000. What about Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence? Are we going to have the same problem with that fight as we're going to have with these two fights here?
I'll give you my predictions for the numbers. I think Pacquiao Broner does 250. I think Crawford Khan does like 200, maybe 175. And I think Garcia Spence probably does around 200. I just don't think these are the right fights to be on pay-per-view. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, these are the wrong kind of fight. I mean, I look at a pay-per-view fight as a big event. As a once-in-a-lifetime type thing, or in the Golovkin Canelo thing, a possible trilogy type thing, or I mean, these fights, they're good fights, but they're not pay-per-view worthy. I think pay-per-view is being used wrongly here, and again, boxing is going to get a bad rap because these fights are going to be decent fights, but with the prices they're going to charge, people aren't, unless they really know the sport, they're really not going to want to buy them.
I think my problem is, for ESPN Plus, we pay for the app to watch fights. We're paying for the app to watch fights, and then you want to turn around and put a pay-per-view on top of that. So we have to rent this thing every month for, what is it, $5 a month or something like that?
Yeah.
You have to rent it for $5 a month. It's the same thing if DAZN would put on a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? It would be like, what? We're already paying $10 a month for this. We're paying $5 a month, and then you want to put this fight on a pay-per-view. And I just, it doesn't make sense to me. So
I don't know. I really have an issue with the way pay-per-view is currently being used in the United States. I really, really do.
Yeah. All right, let's move ahead here. Vladimir Klitschko returning. I don't know, man. Okay, so UK boxing journalist Steve Bunce stated this week that Vladimir Klitschko is gearing up for a comeback this year against Dillian Whyte. The fight may be taking place on April 13th in Wembley Stadium. Now, if you're asking yourself, hey, wasn't there another fight going to take place on April 13th?
Yeah, Joshua has that date.
Right, Joshua has that date, right. The rumor now is that Joshua is going to come and possibly face Big Baby Miller in April in New York. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. That's all up in the air. This is why it's a rumor. It's a loose rumor. I don't know. Wingy interviewed, and I didn't catch the interview, but I saw it. I didn't catch it, though. He interviewed Dillian Whyte. And so it looks to have some legs to it. It does. And Steve Bunce has been saying, that, he thinks Klitschko is coming back. So I guess he's been hearing things too. So I don't know. But that's the rumor going around, is that Steve Bunce saying that Vladimir Klitschko is gearing up for his comeback again. It will be against Dillian Whyte. When Steve Bunce was pressed on the issue, because he asked him, he said it won't be against Whyte, it won't be against Joshua, it won't be against Fury or Wilder. It will be against, and then when they pressed him on it, he said Dillian Whyte. So, yeah, man, I don't know. Beeb, you're our UK guy. What are your thoughts?
Well, Dillian White's been having a lot of issues with getting big fights through Eddie Hearn. Supposedly, they offered him a fight with Anthony Joshua, but he wasn't happy with the amount of money they offered him. So I don't know. I mean, this would be a great fight, but it just seems like Eddie Hearn is not getting him the deals that he wants to get. He's not putting him in position for title fights. So, maybe against a guy like Klitschko, that could strengthen the resume, and that could definitely put him in position for bigger and better fights, and that would be a big money fight in itself as well. And he may look at that as a less risky fight than possibly an Anthony Joshua fight. Who knows? Because Klitschko's been out of the game for a while, so maybe he thinks he would have a great advantage, and he'd still, at the same time be able to put a big name on his resume. So it's a good fight for him. I don't dislike the fight. I just feel bad for him because he seems to not be able to get those big fights that he deserves. I mean, the guy's put in the work. He's definitely earned it, and he's not being taken care of by Eddie Hearn, in my opinion.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Do you think that Eddie Hearn is really doing an injustice to Dillian White over the course of his career? He hasn't fought. He's fought Joshua the one time, but hasn't gotten that rematch. Hasn't been able to secure a fight with Wilder. Who, listen, man. I mean, you say what you want about Deontay Wilder. The fact is, Deontay Wilder, I believe, will fight anyone. I really believe that. I really believe he will fight anyone. So, given that fact, I mean, I think Hearn has really mishandled this guy's career. I think he spends too much time thinking about AJ. I think he spends too much time thinking about other things, and he lets guys go. Kell Brook is one of those examples where he let him, where Amir Khan takes this fight with Crawford. Why wasn't there a third Kell Brook fight? Why wasn't the third fight on Khan's contract against Kell Brook? Better yet, why wasn't the second fight against Kell Brook? You know what I mean? Why let that fight go to your last fight in your contract and then let him walk? And I mean, listen, it's a worse fight. Both fights are equally as bad for Khan, but this one he's definitely going to make more money on, I would think, than he would Brook. Is that, Beeb, do you think that's accurate? Does he make more money with Brook or with Crawford?
He makes more money with Brook.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, substantially.
Wow.
Well, that's because of the importance of it for the people in the UK. It's the UK's version of a soccer final, in the English Premier League or something, with Khan and Brook. It's a big deal over there. So if that fight takes place, it'd have to take place over there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no other way. There's no other place to put it, honestly.
What about that April 13th date that Hearn supposedly had scheduled for Joshua? Now he's doing everything he can to not have Joshua fight on that date. Now they're talking about putting Joshua in New York against Big Baby Miller. They were thinking about putting the Khan versus Brook fight there if they could get it done. This just seems so weird. Like everything seems to have just blown up in Eddie Hearn's face, in my opinion. It's crazy.
It's tough because when you think about it, because we've been here, when Joshua went to New York, he said, "Yeah, I definitely want to fight here. It's electric," and that's when the rumors started to swirl that he may face Miller there on April 13th, and that's when you started hearing about Khan and Brook taking that April 13th date. Now that fight has fallen apart, I think maybe he's looking for people to put in there. I don't know, but it is a little odd. It is a little odd, man. It's
weird.
That's for sure.
Very weird.
For sure.
But I got a question about this. We know Klitschko fought Joshua in 2017 in Wembley Stadium, and after that fight, Klitschko decided to hang it up. And here it is going to be 2 years later. You're going to bring him back to the same venue against a guy like Dillian White. If Klitschko realized that he wasn't capable or didn't want to take the rematch with Joshua, how competitive do you think a 42-year-old Klitschko will be against a guy like Dillian White? Because Dillian White has done nothing but beat everybody they put in front of him. I mean, since he lost to Joshua. So what's in it for Klitschko here?
Well, I will tell you this. I mean, Klitschko looked very good. I mean, I don't think anybody can deny. I thought Klitschko looked very good against Anthony Joshua.
Yes, he did.
I didn't expect that Klitschko to come out and look that good. That's for sure. I expected Klitschko to get steamrolled by Joshua, and that just didn't happen. That was a really, really good fight. Now, as far as Dylan White, now listen, you take Fury, you take Joshua, and you take Wilder, and you take Dillian White, and you got to pick one to fight. Who do you take?
No, I see your point.
He's the whether he's the easiest or not, I would favor any one of those guys to beat Dillian White. Put it that way.
Yeah, but Beeb, you watched the Klitschko fight just like I did. What can Klitschko do against White, and why would he take this after being out of the ring for 2 years?
Well, Robbie, don't you remember when Klitschko fought Joshua after a 2-year layoff? He was winning the fight before he got knocked out.
Yes, he was.
So Joshua's a better fighter than White.
Right.
He has more skills. He's a better boxer, and he came. He almost knocked out Joshua. Klitschko. So I'm sure he has confidence that he could beat Dillian White because he doesn't feel Dillian White's on Joshua's level, and I don't think that he's on Joshua's level either. So I think it's I don't think that Klitschko has lost a ton. I think it still would be a good fight.
Okay.
I mean, you got to look at these heavyweights, like these heavyweights that come back. They don't have to take as much punishments as the lighter weight guys because they're not forced to kill themselves to make weight. They're not dehydrated. They're not dehydrating themselves, so they don't take the same punishment. That they don't have to deal with the same hardships that the lighter weight classes do. So when these guys do take long layoffs and they come back, there's not a lot of wear and tear on them. We've seen so many heavyweights take long layoffs and come back and still be effective. George Foreman, Larry Holmes, to name a few. So, even Muhammad Ali took a layoff and came back, not to his own choice, but I mean, throughout history, we've seen guys take layoffs and come back and be successful. So,
No, don't get me wrong. I think it's an interesting fight. I was just trying to look at it from the big picture point of view.
Yeah, even Vitali, he took some time off and he came back and he became heavyweight champion again too. He took a couple years off. So, happens.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's move forward here. Let's see here. The World Boxing Super Series is going ahead as planned. Mike Coppinger wrote an article on Ring TV saying that the next round of the fights could be in April, but it looks like everything is back to normal and going ahead as planned, maybe a little later than they thought. But, so that's good news. That's definitely good news because that's one series I really, really like. I think that is the best thing in boxing today.
Absolutely. I agree.
Best thing in boxing today, man. No question about it. All right, let's talk about this is another one, man. This is and we had mentioned a little bit earlier in the show. What's next for Usyk? Odds are that Povetkin is next, but hey, odds aren't always right, man, because we're hearing different. Eddie Hearn said that if Usyk stays at the cruiserweight level, his next fight would be against Denis Lebedev. Absolutely nobody wants to see that. Most likely he will move to heavyweight, and the two big names being thrown around, as we mentioned, were Louis Ortiz and Alexander Povetkin. The more I read, the more I heard, it sounded like Povetkin was next. That was all through this week, and now I'm hearing a lot. There's a ton of rumors flying around out there that Ortiz is next for Alexander Usyk. So that's what I'm hearing. If you go out on Twitter, nothing has really been confirmed, though. Nothing has really been confirmed. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Beeb, any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on Usyk facing?
I'm telling. It's a good fight. I don't know. It's a good fight. I don't know if it's a fight that I would take if I was Usyk for the first fight entering the heavyweight division. But you must know something. Two southpaws. Interesting.
It is an interesting fight. I mean, it's not. I tell you what, man, it's not a gimme fight for Usyk. That's for sure. Definitely not a gimme fight for him. So that's a tough one, man. That's a real tough one. But I mean, I tell you what, if you go to heavyweight, and you might as well fight the best to figure it out. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Robert, what are your thoughts on this?
Wow. I think both of these fights would be good, but if Usyk takes Ortiz, I think that's a little too much too soon. I would, because Louis is dangerous. I would much rather see Usyk fight Povetkin first. And I thought, who would have thought I'd ever say that? Because then you could find out, if you could really be competitive at the heavyweight division. I question whether he's going to be able to deal with Ortiz and people, because let's face it, there's not too many small heavyweights these days. And, I props to him, man. He's got more balls than most people in boxing. I mean, look at the people he's fought in 2018 alone. If he takes Ortiz as his debut heavyweight fight, props to him, man, because he's got more guts than any fighter I ever know.
There you go. Some news coming out this week. This was startling, to say the least. Kelly Pavlik could be planning a comeback here. Kelly Pavlik was on the Joe Rogan podcast this week and said that he was 80% certain that he would be making a return. He said that he would most likely be at the cruiserweight limit. Beeb, what are your thoughts on this one? It was a head scratcher for me.
Oh, he's still young, Kelly Pavlik. He's never taken a lot of punishment in his career. Never been stopped. Never really been beat up in there. So I could see him getting himself in shape. He definitely is going into a division at cruiserweight that I think he could make some noise at. Cruiserweight division's not, well, it is kind of, now it's stacked, but if Usyk goes up to heavyweight, then that'll kind of pave the way for Kelly Pavlik a little bit. But it's an interesting it's an interesting topic. I mean, I wouldn't be against seeing him try. Like I said, I don't think that he's the worse for wear, really. I think when he went out on his own terms. It wasn't like he was forced to retire. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, who does he fight? I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's just an odd thing. I mean, to see him from fighting at middleweight to go to cruiserweight later, taking all these years off and everything like that, that's a big deal. But like I said, he said he's 80% certain that he's going to do it, and we'll see what happens, man. We'll see. That's and Reese Mack in the chat said he's only 36. Pavlik's 36. He is, but there's a lot of miles on him, I think. I don't know.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think there's a lot of there's not a lot of miles on him.
All right. Well, hopefully he makes a comeback. I mean, hey, look, he's from Titletown, so what do you hey, it is what it is. I mean, we make him to last around here. All right, and our final story here, Marcos Maidana. A video was circulating around the internet this week that showed Marcos Maidana throwing punches and saying that he wants to fight Mayweather and others. This fueled speculation that he was actually going to train for a comeback fight. Turns out that's not the case. He told an Argentina newspaper, La Nación, that he wasn't planning on returning. Quote, almost everyone says they're retiring and then they come back. I want to be unique. I don't want to go back on my words. I'm fine. I would not go back. I would look for other resources. I have other businesses, other things. I retired, and it's over. Boxing is something that I left behind, said Maidana. He said, it was a job. I retired at the time. The stage is over. I'm still traveling, going to fights, but without training or going to the ring. The fights with Mayweather helped me retire early, revealed Maidana. I never thought I was going to become a champion. I was boxing because I liked it. I did it well. I felt it was a job that motivated me, and I went ahead. So there you go. That was I tell you, and Beeb, did you see the video of him training and hitting the bags and stuff like that?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. Yeah.
Yeah. Destro in the chat says that Pavlik had a great showing on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's 100% right. Yeah, if you guys hadn't listened to that podcast, definitely go listen to Kelly Pavlik on that podcast. So that was really, really good. But back to Maidana. Yeah, I think that he's making the right choice. I don't think he can be competitive. I mean, he'd have to lose. He'd have to get in shape. He'd have to get in a lot better shape than what he is now. And that's not really a knock on him. It just is what it is, I mean, he's retired. He's enjoying life. And why come back? I mean, it seems like he's doing okay. It doesn't seem like he's that he needs money or anything like that. So, why come back? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So there you go. All right, guys, listen, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert or call Ringside Robbie's Corner at
area code 773-572-7781. And if you want, after you listen to the podcast, press pound and you can leave a message.
There you go. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1 and find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 73, and we will see you next week.